Hey there, folks. Brian Nichols here from the Brian Nichols Show. Now, I know what you're thinking, Brian. Aren't you supposed to be on your summer vacation? Well, yes, you're right, but some things are just too big to ignore, even when I'm supposed to be kicking back with a nice ice-cold liquid Freedom Energy tea. So today, we're breaking from our usual format, and actually, I'm going to be breaking from my summer schedule to dive into something that's got everyone talking. That was the Trump-Biden debate. Trust me, this was such a train wreck that I had to put down all my books I've been reading, and I had to fire up the mic. So even though we are in the middle of our summertime lull here, I couldn't let this one slide. We're going to break down exactly why Biden just was so bad and so terrible, and how Trump managed to come out on top, and what it means for Democrats going forward. It's going to be a nice, quick, juicy episode here covering the basics. So grab your sunscreen, get your favorite summertime beverage, preferably our good friends there at Liquid Freedom Energy Tea, because we're about to dissect one of the most jaw-dropping debates in whatever. So let's dive into this debate breakdown and really get into why Biden just totally dropped the ball here. And just from the start, no sugarcoating it, this was a rough watch. And the fallout has been just intense. And from the moment Biden shuffled on that stage, you could tell like something was off, or frankly, this maybe is normal. I mean, his eyes had that glazed over look, like he just, wasn't there. Lights are on, nobody's home. And when he started talking, it was like watching a car crash in slow motion. And Trump, love him or hate him, he did his Trump thing. He came out swinging. He was sharp. He was focused. And I dare I say he was in the best message control, and he knew exactly what buttons to push. And then Biden, on the other hand, he looked lost half the time. He'd start a sentence and he'd forget where he was going midway through. And I mean, frankly, it was painful to watch. One of the big issues was that Biden couldn't handle this open format that had been done in presidential debates in years past. There's been the traditional back and forth, interruptions, that kind of thing. That's where Trump really shined. But this time, they demanded, that was the Biden campaign demand to CNN, they demanded that Biden speak uninterrupted with mics muted, and it backfired spectacularly. It's like they gave him enough rope to hang himself with. I mean, take the abortion question that popped up, and just spoiler alert for folks who missed it, the live, but the topic of abortion came up, and this should have been a slam dunk for Biden because it's a hugely important issue for Democrats. He should have been able to answer right, for the base, but when he was asked about it, he fumbled around and he couldn't give a clear answer. Like he was all over the place. He was talking about trimesters and stuff that didn't even address the question. And meanwhile, Trump's over there giving clear, concise answers that he knows his base will eat up, but also it bridged a middle ground where I think a large portion of Americans are actually at. So, and by the way, let's talk about Trump's debate tactics for a second. The guy is a natural salesman, and it shows. He kept hammering home on simple messages. Biden's destroying the country. I'll fix it in 24 hours. That was a bad Trump impersonation, but that was his thing. And it doesn't matter if it's true or not. That's what I literally heard nonstop. Was he's in the coverage afterwards. He was a liar. He's a liar. Well, it was memorable. It was punchy, and it's gonna stick in people's heads. And then Biden, on the other hand, he kept getting bogged down in policy details that he couldn't even remember, which sure, I mean, that, yes, policy is important, but in a debate, you need to be able to articulate your ideas in quick, concise sound bites. You need to be clear. It's got to be simple, and it's got to be stuff that people can latch onto. And not only Biden couldn't do that, he couldn't form coherent sentences. And let's be real, age was just one of the biggest, if not the largest elephants in the room. No, Trump's not a spring chicken, but next to Biden, he looked downright spry. Like, Biden seemed frail. He seemed confused. Like, he was just struggling to keep up mentally. And there were moments he would just trail off mid-sentence, or he would just be staring blankly off camera, like not even to the moderators or to the camera or to Trump. He would be just staring off into nothingness. And it was just uncomfortable. It was painful to watch. And here's the thing. This wasn't just a bad night for Biden. It was a bad night for the entire Democratic Party. They've been trying to brush off concerns about Biden's age and his mental acuity for months now. But I mean, after this debate, the cat's out of the bag and it ain't going back in. And the panic that's in Democratic circles is real. I'm talking, they're full on hair on fire freak out mode. It's the little guy that was the "this is fine" dog when the fire's around him, only now he's on fire and it's not fine. Like, people who've supported Biden for years, they're suddenly wondering, like, oh no, did we make a terrible mistake? And now they're even being seriously floating around the idea of, like, hey, should Biden step aside? Like, maybe the Democrats need to find a new candidate. And, like, we're not talking about fringe voices here. We're talking about major players in the Democratic establishment, elected officials, governors, elected congressmen, senators. And it's not just diehard Democrats either. I mean, moderate voters, independent people who might have been on the fence. I'm seeing, like, NFL players. They're all looking at this debate and saying, like, can this guy handle 4 more years in the White House? Can he handle the next, like, 5? Because he's broken. Like, he's not there. And the contrast between these two candidates, it was so visible. Like, Trump, for all of your faults, right, that you could pin on him, and of course there are many, but I mean, he came across as energetic, he came across as forceful, he was in command, he was on message. And then there's Biden. He looked weak, he looked confused, he looked just completely out of his element. And in a presidential debate, elephant in the room, again, optics matter. And the optics here were just catastrophic for Biden. And let's break down some specific moments here that really highlight this problem. So early on, when they're discussing the economy, Biden, he starts rambling about his childhood in Scranton. And it was like, he doesn't even know what question he was asked. And then Trump, meanwhile, he was actually rattling off some statistics. Granted, some were definitely questionable, but that's a whole separate issue. But he was painting a clear economic vision that was branded around his "Make America Great" promotion. And yet, well, how about this? Then we go to the foreign policy section. I mean, Biden, he's supposed to be, he's the experienced statesman here, right? Like, he mentioned that 400 times on stage, and then he keeps mixing up countries, getting dates wrong. At one point, he referred to Putin as the guy in China. And what does Trump do? He instantly calls out the mistakes, and he just makes Biden look completely incompetent and out of touch. And look at the Social Security conversation, another bad area for Biden. I mean, that should have been a strong issue for the Democrats, because, as always, they are very focused on Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. That's a big selling point for Democrats and to their base. But he couldn't articulate not only a clear plan, he couldn't even articulate a simple sentence. He kept going off on tangents. He was talking about Medicare and prescription drugs, but wasn't tying anything to any points. And then Trump, again, he had a simple message: Biden will destroy Social Security. and again, it doesn't matter if it's true. It's clear, it's scary, and it sticks in voters' minds. And I mean, let's not forget the closing statements. This was Biden's last chance to pull together, to leave voters with some type of strong, positive message. And instead, he rambled. He stumbled on his own words. He lost his train of thought like 7 times. And then Trump, on the other hand, he was punchy, he was focused, and he was hammering home on those key points time and again. And Hey folks, I want to take a moment to talk about something that has truly changed my life, and that is Cardio Miracle, our incredible studio sponsor. Now, I'll be honest, when I first heard about Cardio Miracle and their claims about improving heart health, I was skeptical. But after using it for just about 2 months, I was absolutely blown away by the results. First, my blood pressure went from being consistently around 140/90 to a much more healthier and manageable 120/80. And my resting heart rate dropped from the low 70s to the high 50s. And I couldn't believe it. But the benefits didn't stop there. I started sleeping better, and I felt more energized at the gym, and my heart felt the best it's felt in years. And it's not just me. Hundreds of you, our amazing listeners, have reached out to share your own incredible experiences with Cardio Miracle. So, what is Cardio Miracle, and how does it work? It's a carefully crafted supplement that harnesses the power of nitric oxide to support optimal heart function. So, by increasing nitric oxide levels in your blood, Cardio Miracle helps relax your blood vessels, improve circulation, and it protects your heart from damage. It's like giving your heart the support it needs to function at its best. And here's the best part. We've got an exclusive offer just for you, our loyal listeners here at the Brian Nichols Show. When you head over to cardiomiracle.com and use code TBNS at checkout, you'll get an extra 15% discount on your order. Plus, with their 100% money-back guarantee, you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. So, if you're ready to take control of your heart health and experience the life-changing benefits of Cardio Miracle for yourself, just click the link in the show notes or video description. Trust me, your heart will thank you. And don't wait another day to prioritize your health. Join the tens of thousands of folks who have already discovered the Cardio Miracle difference. Head to cardiomiracle.com now and use code TBNS for 15% off your order. Your journey to a happier and healthier heart starts today. And now, let's get back to the show. Again, we gotta talk about this aftermath here from this debate, because I mean, this was just brutal for Biden and for the entire Democratic Party. Just going to social media, it's been flooded with clips of Biden's worst moments. There's one part where Biden rambles off incoherently, and Trump just turns and says, "I don't know what he just said, and frankly, I don't think he knows either." And I think everybody in the audience is just like, yup, definitely feel that. Yup. Jon Stewart, he was having a field day. Republican ad makers, they have enough material to last them through November. They're already having clips come out of just Biden's incoherent ramblings. So and by the way, we have to call this out too, because I've seen this come up after the election the debate quite a bit. You know, this is a one-time thing. No, this is not just this debate. This absolutely horrendous debate performance has reignited all of the concerns that have been there from like 2020 and beyond about Biden's age and his mental fitness. And these, by the way, it was said on, I forget what organization, but this has been talked about by right-wing media. No, it's been ignored by the corporate media. It's all been there. It's been simmering in the background for months. You guys just ignored it, and now you're seeing a call for Biden needing to step aside, Democratic leadership needing to stand up and say we need to find a different candidate. And what it's done on the other side of the aisle, it's emboldened Trump and his supporters, who I think they're even more confident now than they ever have been that they can win in November. And I actually think it converted a lot of independent, moderate, middle-of-the-road voters, or voters who just are apathetic to the political process, to look at what happened and say, this was bad. And he can't have another 4 years. Biden can't have another 4 years. And this turns into now the real question: what are the Democrats going to do? Are they going to stick with Biden? Are they riding with Biden and hope he can turn things around? Or do they try to nudge him to step aside? And if he does step aside, who steps up? I mean, come on, Kamala Harris isn't exactly beloved by anybody. She's got worse favorability ratings than Joe Biden does. And there's no real clear front runner waiting in the wings. People talk about Gavin Newsom, but I mean, let's be real. People are moving out of California in leaps and bounds because he's destroyed the state. So I think there's a clear argument against him. I mean, guys, this debate, I mean, it might as well be remembered as the ultimate, not just turning point for the 2024 election for president, but for the entire way the nation's going. Because I forget who it was on CNN last night after the debate. They had like their quick analysis come up, and the guy was saying, I mean, Bob Casey was probably throwing up watching that debate because he knows, if, you know, in his re-election in Pennsylvania, that if he's standing next to Biden, he's going to lose. And he's right, because Biden was just that terrible. And it exposed Biden's weaknesses in such a way that it cannot be ignored. It cannot be explained away. Like we talk about it in sales, right? Once you see it, you can't unsee it. So, I mean, it's given Trump a huge boost of momentum, and it's thrown not just the entire Democratic Party strategy, but like the entire Democratic Party into chaos. So, I mean, looking ahead, the Biden camp has serious damage control that they need to do. They're going to need to find a way to reassure Biden voters that he's still up for the job. I don't know how you do that after what happened there last night. They need to really come up with a strategy for dealing with his age and his mental acuity concerns head on, and they need to do it fast, because you can bet Trump and the Republicans are going to be hammering home on these points every chance they get. And who can blame them? I mean, that was just an abomination. That was horrible for the Biden camp. And for Trump, this debate, it was a gift. I mean, he came in with low expectations and he exceeded them by a mile. He looked presidential. He stayed on message, and he effectively highlighted Biden's weaknesses. I mean, his campaign, they're going to be riding this wave for months. For months. Looking at the betting averages, I mean, Trump just skyrocketed after last night, and Biden plummeted. And in the media, I mean, they're going to have a field day with this as well, and you're already seeing it. Expect the endless analysis of Biden's performance and you know, his speculation about his fitness for office. It's going to dominate the news cycle for a long time, because there is a big question right now to be answered: is will Biden be the nominee for the Democrats in 2024? And I don't think that answer is very certain right now. And let's not forget this, by the way. Like, let's take a step back from the politics and let's talk about this from an international perspective. America's allies, as well as our enemies, they were watching this debate. And what message does it send when the current president of the United States, he can't string together a single coherent sentence? Like, this is not just a political party issue. It's not a conversation solely about domestic politics. This has serious implications for how America stands on the world stage and how our allies and our enemies view us. So, like, in the end, this debate, it may as well be remembered as the moment when the 2024 election truly, like, it had a turn, because it reset the entire playing field. It threw conventional wisdom completely out the window, and it opened up a whole set of new possibilities and challenges, frankly, for both parties, because Trump's got to maintain this wave, and the Biden team, if he is still going to keeping on, they got to figure out how to stop the bleeding. And again, for Biden and the Democrats, just the roadblocks ahead looks a lot steeper, a lot steeper than it did just a short 24 hours ago. They're going to need to pull off just one hell of a comeback to recover from this. And again, for Trump and the Republicans, they have the wind at their backs, but they really got to be smart about this. They can't be overconfident. There's still a long way to go until November. So I think we can all agree. One thing's for sure, the 2024 election just got a whole lot interesting, more interesting. Yeah. And if this debate is anything to go by, we are in for one wild, bizarre, interesting ride between now and November. So I guess buckle up, folks, because it's going to be a bumpy one. Yeah. So that's our episode for today. I know that was a little bit of an impromptu summer episode, and I hope you enjoyed this little break from your solo beach reading as well, as we dove into this Biden-Trump debate. Now, I'm going to go and get back to the pool, but before I do, remember to please keep up with all of our content here. Yes, we are still going to have a week of content, much like episodes we did here today over on the Brian Nichols Show. So make sure you're following me on social media. You can find me on Twitter and on Facebook, as well as Instagram. I keep forgetting we are on the Instagrams at B Nichols Liberty. And hey, if you're looking for something to watch while you're hiding from the sun, trying not to get too cooked and sunburned like I did, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube as well as Rumble channels and Twitter and Facebook. Yes, we are uploading the video versions of the show in their entirety over on those respective channels. And as always, I want to thank you, you amazing listener here of the Brian Nichols Show audience, for tuning in. And even during these lazy summer days, yes, I want you to know your support. It means the world to me, and it's what keeps this show going, even when I'm supposed to be on vacation. So we will be back to our regularly formatted show once my little break here is over. So until then, be sure to stay tuned in. Of course, educate, enlighten, and inform is what we talk about here. And don't remember, politics doesn't take a vacation, so neither do we. Well, not entirely. So that's all we have for you. See you next week on our continuing episodes for our summer vacation series here of The Brian Nichols Show. We'll see you later.
Thanks for listening to The Brian Nichols Show. Find more episodes at briannicholsshow.com.